I've been telling you, you have an activist for a pastor. And I said, we will not get tired of having this conversation. And the reason we are having these conversations is not because we want to bring politics to the pulpit, but it is because we must be aware. We must be informed so that we are able to steward our country responsibly, because our country living here is a gift from God. Just so we are together, two main things that have happened this week. One, of course, the president has continued to reconstitute the cabinet. He talked about a broad-based cabinet. He talked about appointing a broad-based cabinet of national unity. And he did that on Wednesday morning. And then the second thing that has happened is this. You remember on the 26th of June, after the protest, the president decided not to assent to the finance bill, and he sent it back to Parliament with a memo. And this week, Parliament resumed on Tuesday, and in the course of the week, they have had discussions about the finance bill, and they have agreed with the president. For that, the finance bill stands withdrawn. But another interesting thing has happened this week. Parliament was discussing the 2024-2025 supplementary budget. And you remember, the week after the protest, the president mentioned a raft of measures to ensure that there is austerity in expenditure in government. Part of those was to do away with some of the unconstitutional offices, such as the Office of the Chief Administrative Secretaries, the CASs, doing away with the budget for the Office of the First Lady and the Second Lady, and collapsing 47 state corporations, among other measures. This week, Parliament discussed, the National Assembly discussed, supplementary budget of 2024-2025, and this is what Parliament did. Parliament cut down the budget for healthcare and the budget for hiring junior secondary school teachers, but it kept the budget for the Office of the First Lady and the Second Lady. Parliament, National Assembly, rejected the proposal to cut down on the budget of the Office of the First Lady and the Second Lady. These are unconstitutional offices, by the way. But Parliament cut down on the budget for healthcare of hiring intern doctors and hiring junior secondary school teachers. May the Lord bless Kenya. On Sunday last week, the president said, and I want to quote him, "We must protect our democracy. Enough is enough." He said that we asked him to recall the finance bill. He did. He called us to the X space. We didn't go. And he signed the IEBC bill. But people continued the protest. And he said enough is enough. I stand here to tell the president with all humility, he doesn't get to tell us enough is enough. Mr. President, you don't get to tell us enough is enough. And I'll tell you why. One, this week, the president has appointed a cabinet. The proposal was to make his government leaner. And there was a proposal to have 15 cabinet secretaries instead of more than 20. Already, we are at 21. And he said there are still some appointments coming up. The president appointed Azimio members into his cabinet. The same guys, the same old guys, old folk, the politicians. But we are telling him, Mr. President, get technocrats into your government. He did not listen to us. But that's not the big deal. For you and I, let me tell you, my fellow Kenyan citizens, this is actually an opportunity. Because for the first time we are seeing these politicians, none of them is on our side. For 60 years, our politicians have made us think that our tribes are the problem. For 60 years of independence in Kenya, we have been made to think that our tribes are the problem, and we have hated each other for it. What God has done is to open our eyes. Now we see. But two, what God has done, He's brought them all together. In the book of Judges chapter 16, there is a story of Samson. And the Philistines took out his eyes. And they cut off his hair and made him weak. But at some point, and they turned him into an entertainer. So he would go into the theater and entertain them, into their circus and entertain them. But at one point, the Philistines and all their leaders gathered together to be entertained. by Samson. And Samson asked the boy who was guiding him, "Take me to the pillars that support this building." And Samson leaned on the pillars and he pushed the pillars. And the entire building collapsed on the Philistines and their leaders. There is a reason God has brought these politicians together. Our eyes are open. We know they are not on our side. And now we have an opportunity to get rid of all of them. And by the way, I mean all. Do not be deceived by a politician who's been looking for something for 40 years. Just because he said he's not joining the government. That's a lie. They're just being used and using us as pawns as they have done. We are the ones to tell the president and the politicians, enough is enough. Enough is enough. And in 2027, don't be bothered by now who is going to lead us, where are we going to get these leaders. You know, when Samuel went to Jesse's house to anoint David, he himself did not know who he was going to anoint. Even Jesse himself did not know that he has a son that could be anointed. He did not know which one. Because I am persuaded that this is a move of God. By 2027, a mighty man of valor, a man or a woman of integrity, a man who loves God and loves God's people and respects human life and human dignity, God will give us that. We have to tell the politicians, we are the ones to tell you, it is enough. It is enough that 60 people have been killed this year and 75 last year, and all the president can do is say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Guys, do you know how bad it is that we treat human life with such indignity that we can just take it the way we want? You can just shoot at someone. Do you know how ridiculous? I don't know that we have wrapped our minds around how ridiculous that is, how evil it is, and that we would not do anything about it. This week, the parents of these kids who have lost their lives have been on the streets, and some of them were arrested. We are failing them, and we are failing them especially when we keep quiet. So, guys, I'm not about to shut up. I am called to preach the gospel. And the heart of the gospel message is justice. And we will stand here every Sunday and talk about this. And talk about justice. And remind our politicians, you have controlled us for too long. We are the ones who are telling you, enough is enough. You won't kill all of us. And we won't be intimidated. We won't be intimidated. So please stand. Make your voice heard. And I want to speak to my younger brothers and sisters, the Gen Zs. This is not just your issue. It is for all of us. You are the tip of the arrow. We've sent you out. Go, but we are behind you. Do not think you are alone. Do not get tired or weary. You are too strong. You are too brave. You are too wise. And you are too many to be ignored. Go out and we will be with you. You are not alone. Politicians are used to doing this thing of doing their own thing so that they get us tired of tiring us and wearing us out. That's what they're trying to do now. Don't let them have their day. And God is behind this message, I kid you not. May the Lord bless you.
So, this guy called Olusegun Obasanjo, who is here in our country, whose interest is he representing? Now we are told there is going to be a government of national unity. Unity for who and in whose interest? After all, Raila Amolo Odinga and William Samoei Ruto are part of the problem in this country, in a sense that they are negotiating to eat on top of the dead bodies of our comrades that have been martyred by the state. So we hope that they will announce that government of national unity as they think. That will help us to mobilize on the streets. On
Ruto, Ni kama hatusikizi bwana. Tunasema aje, kwa nini hujashika huyu mtu mwenye amekuwa akituua? Kwa nini hujashika huyu sniper mwenye tumemuona kila mahali akituua? And then you are here pretending at sijui umefuta cabinet, alafu unaanza tena kurecycle watu. We are not stupid na sisi sio waoga. Sasa Tuesday comrades. Tuesday comrades. Siku za mwizi zimeisha.
And we are telling President Ruto and his rotten system that we want all the demands that we are asking him to do, because by calling the opposition to come and share power, that is not what people have been demanding for. We are demanding good governance, we are demanding good quality education and free, we are demanding good health care, we are demanding equal distribution of the country. The solution is justice, and when we get justice, we'll have lasting peace. Comrades power! Power! Comrades power!
Power! Kwanza ningependa kushutumu kwa vikali serikali ya William Samoei Ruto kwa sababu ya mauaji ya kiolela ya vijana wetu zaidi ya 50 ambao waliuliwa wakiwa kwenye maandamano across the country. Na kazi moja ya serikali ni kumake sure wananchi wako salama. Kwa hivyo hiyo pekee inatosha serikali ya William Samoei Ruto kujiuzulu. Walisema hawatapandisha ile nini ya mafuta, so wamepandisha from 18 to 25. Kwa hivyo hii mambo tunasema ati finance bill iliwekwa kando ni uongo mtupu. Appropriation bill inaendelea na zile ushuru ambao wananchi walikataa already wameziweka kwenye bidhaa muhimu. Kwa hivyo mimi naambia vijana, naambia wananchi wa Kenya, usiweke bendera mbali. Mapambano bado yanaendelea. Tuesday ni Tuesday. Asante sana.
I'd like to join other Kenyans in saying that we reject any so-called government of national unity that seeks to bring together corrupt politicians, that seeks to bring together people who have been accomplices in these problems, in this exploitation that has been part of our country since independence. We like to say that these protests will go on. We like to say that this campaign will go on until Kenyans receive what they justly deserve, and that is a life of dignity, and that is a life that gives them freedom to express themselves. We'd like to say that Ruto must go.
Ruto must go.
Ruto must go.
Ruto must go.
Development expenditure has been cut by over 20%, while recurrent expenditure, which is where they steal from, has been cut by, I think, around 2%. And so we have not won anything yet. We are only getting started. And so Tuesday is the day when we go to make those initial demands that were made by the masses when this process began.